Walk us through the March 30th meeting. Players go to meet with Clint Myers. Show the text messages purported to be between a player and Corey Myers. What happens next?
We were quarantined in a room for 3 hours, and we weren't allowed to exit except for going to the restroom, and that we were watched and we had to come back in, and we stayed there. And then eventually Clinton Meredith came down and they informed us that Corey had resigned, and then Meredith started telling the players in a very threatening manner that the text messages they obtained were quote unquote through illegal means, which, looking back on it and looking at the laws, they actually were obtained by legal means. So she was threatening the players with really no legal background and telling them that they could face jail time.
What exactly is she saying on this? She said, again, threatening or alluding to the fact that they are risking arrest and jail time. Is she saying on what grounds this is happening exactly? What exactly is the specifics of her remarks?
She basically just said that it was off of someone else's phone. It was obtained illegally, so you're going to face jail time. There was no specific laws cited.
So she wasn't saying that it was possession of stolen property or trespassing or anything. It was just that there was a potential crime that may have happened, and you needed to. She demanded that everybody delete the text message.
Correct. Not to my knowledge that she ever said any potential crime.
Seems like an obvious question, but did you feel threatened after hearing all of this?
Most definitely. I know I was like sitting there and I was, whoa, like she's really coming on strong, almost making it seem like they were at fault for what they did instead of the people in positions of authority who didn't do their job. And she also made other members of the team cry because they were so scared about facing jail time.
How did your feelings change as a player after that meeting? About the administration, about Coach Clint Myers, about the program. How did your feelings toward being an Auburn softball player change?
It took a complete 180 because I used to hold Clint on this very high pedestal from everything that he said at camps about, like greatness is a way of life and everything that he preached. And in this meeting and in the few weeks after, you start finding out that he knew about these inappropriate relations, didn't do anything to stop it, and just like he isn't as good of a man as he advertises. And it had been a slow deterioration, but after that definitely flipped. And I was extremely disgusted by the administration about how they handled it in relation to us girls, because they didn't do anything to benefit us players.
Before filing the discrimination complaint with the Title IX office, we discussed this a bit before, but did you speak to anyone in athletics or the university regarding these issues?
Yes, I went and I talked to Jay Jacobs and Meredith Jenkins at the beginning of the week of the Super Regionals about my concerns about the mental harassment of the coaching staff and about the violations from Title IX.
And what did Jay and Meredith have to say to you about those concerns?
Just nodded their heads and didn't really write anything down, and they said that basically that the administration's there for the athlete and they'll do everything in their best interest to try to help us.
Walk us through a bit of the Title IX process and dealing with that office with Kelly Taylor since filing your complaint on May 31st. Where have things stood through the process? I know that there was a delay in the response, you said. So what is your understanding of that process, and have you interviewed? Are you aware of other players interviewing? Walk us through that a bit.
I know that I filed a complaint and Kelly Taylor was extremely receptive with my complaint, and I do believe she's really trying to help us softball players get this whole situation resolved for our benefit. and she was very receptive, took detailed notes over an hour-and-a-half meeting, and she, every single time I've sent her new information, she's communicated back extremely well. And I think she did mention to me that a few other players have talked to her, but it's been an extremely hard time to obtain information.
You also say in your complaint that you felt like you may have been, as you put it, being groomed to be somebody who Corey may look to be involved with in the future. What gave you that feeling?
Most of my interactions were with Corey Myers, and it was one of the main things about getting of the sexual side and trying to get people, I guess, to have sexual relations with you is kind of be the gatekeeper, and he was always kind of the gatekeeper. Even though I wasn't ever getting games, he was like, oh, you'll get in next week, and it was everything that worked for him is kind of was a way for me to get on the team. So in the future I could see him saying, to do this, if you have relations with me.
What do you want to see happen from all of this? Now, the Title IX process is still ongoing, but even once that's finished, clearly Corey was gone for some time. Clint has retired or resigned or been fired, which way. They're out. What do you want to see come of all this?
I would like to see the rest of the softball staff that would allowed these actions to go on to be not with the program anymore. I would also like to see the officials at the very top of the administration who knew about it from several players to face repercussions for what they did, and I would also like to see that this doesn't happen to any other team or any other program, because I don't believe that any woman should ever have to go through what we did that season. I would also like to see counseling for all of the players involved, and specialized counseling, not just the regular sports psychologist, because I think it's very important to help the bridges that may have been severed and also to help them understand the situation better.
And you would like to rejoin the program in some capacity, correct?
Yes.
Lastly, have you heard from any of your former teammates since this has all been publicized, not just the Title IX portion and anybody who may have been brought in to interview there, but since this has all gone down over the last 5-6 days, have you heard from anybody at all?
No.
So you don't know how they're taking it. You haven't gotten any support. You haven't gotten any criticism. You haven't.
Correct. I just hope that they're doing okay and that this hasn't been too hard on them, because I'm really sorry that we all had to go through all this.